Hi guys, doing a tour of the current torches in my 60-gallon breeder. Most of them are gold torches, but I'm going to go through 9 different torches that I have in this tank. So you can see all the different colorations of the various different torches, some of them from different parts of the world. And if you know a lot about torches, you can have the same type of torch, but from a different part of the world, and it will look different. All right, so jumping in here with our first torch is Sun God. This one is characterized by those super bright tips on the end there. As you can see, they are just shining really bright. That's kind of where the Sun God comes in. Those tips are insanely bright yellow, and they stand out, not only up close, but they stand out from a distance. You can see that towards the base, it does get a little bit darker, but most of the tentacle is very bright all the way through. You can see here when I'm not holding it and it's at a distance, those tips still shine. You can see the darkness at the base, but you can also see how bright those tentacles are all the way through. All right, so next up here is Dragon Soul. So this one's been around a long time, and if you've seen this one, you've seen so many variations of it. This is the variation I have, strong gold. Some of these have green. You'll see strong green in the tentacles with gold mixed in. The version I have is strong gold in the tentacles. As you can see, there is still some green in there, but the tentacles on the ones I have are much stronger gold. You can see the nice bright tips as well. And this one actually has really long tentacles. So some torches are shorter tentacles, some have really long tentacles. As you can see, even when I'm waving it around here, the tentacles are staying somewhat longer than they will on other ones that you see when I wave them around. And then when I'm not waving around, it's just sitting there. You can see, I set it back down. You can see the tentacles are still fairly long. When it's in the flow, those tentacles are super long and just blowing around. I would say when I got a good flow going, they're anywhere from 3.5 to 4 inches. Like they get super long and wisp around. And here when I'm not waving it around and it's just setting down and we zoom in, you can now see kind of that green that's mixed in there. Again, some have more green than others. Mine has more gold. All right, so now we have Dragon Tamer. This one is a gold and green as well, but this one has blue tips, as you can see, whereas the Dragon Soul had white tips. This one has blue tips. Also, you can tell the tentacles are much fatter, so you can see how thick they are. And you can see it's really bright green down at the mouth. So there is a bright green mouth. The tentacles are kind of that green and gold. A little bit more green in this one than the Dragon Soul that I just showed. And the tips of this guy are blue. So here it is kind of at a distance. And this one also, even though the tentacles are very thick, this one the tentacles get very long as well. And just a quick zoom in here without me shaking it around. So zoom in with it on the ground so you can really kind of see that mouth color on it. All right, so up now is the Hellfire torch. So again, kind of holding it up close here, you can see the very deep gold colors. You can also see the very dark base. So this has a super dark, kind of like a mocha base, and very dark, deep golds to it with the white tips, or as you can see, are the kind of cream tips. This one, for me, actually grows super quick. The tentacles are not very long on this one. As you can see with me holding it, they've closed up quickly. So I'm moving it around and you can see how much they are closing up. And as you saw on the other ones, they didn't quite close up that much. but that's also because this one, the tentacles are much shorter. So here you can see without me holding it, and you can see how much shorter those tentacles are. Also, you can see that mocha color really just kind of shining at the base there, and it does extend up the tentacle, but you can see that very strong gold running in it as well. So this one's a very pretty kind of dark and gold mix. Makes that gold pop a little bit more, but that gold, of course, being very bright, makes that mocha look even more deep. All right, so up next is the Indonesian 24 karat. This one I have an Indonesian 24 karat that you're going to see here, and I have an Australian 24 karat, and they look very different. So looking here at the Indonesian one, you can see very strong gold. You can see dark lines running all the way up the sides of those gold tentacles. So it's that it's not just dark at the base or gold at the base. It is dark and gold running up every single tentacle. The tentacles on this guy are long and thin. So very thin tentacles, very long. It does wisp around a lot with flow. The flow picks up its tentacles very easily. But you can see it is that very strong mix of a solid gold and a dark stripe coming up the end. So looking at it here, kind of setting it down so we can see a little bit from a distance. And you can see the tentacles kind of laying over. They are fairly long. These ones are not quite as long as, like, say, the Dragon Soul, but they are still fairly long. They are thin, and it doesn't have that nice blue tip. So you can kind of see there a little bit from a distance. Obviously, I have the flow off right now, so it just has a little bit of ambient movement in the water left from turning it off. But even at a distance, those strong gold streaks still stand out very well. All right, so we just saw the Indonesian 24 karat. Now let's look at the Australian 24 karat. So this one, you can see again, the tentacles have the gold and the dark in the tentacles. So there's gold running up the whole side of the tentacle, there's dark running up the whole side of the tentacle, and it has blue tips. So that's the exact same of what you just saw in the Indonesian one. However, this one has a super bright green base. So you can see the mouth and the whole base of it is that very bright green. Also, as you can tell, I'm not even holding this one, and the tentacles are very short, very thick. So it's short, thick tentacles compared to long, thin tentacles, and then a green base compared to a non-green base. So those are going to be your main differences between the Indonesian 24 karat and the Australian gold 24 karat. All right, up next, we're going to talk about the Malaysian Skittles torch. The most comparable to this one would be a cotton candy, because as you can see, cotton candy have that pink and blue tip. The Malaysian Skittles has that pink and blue tips. Here's the difference though. You can see how insanely bright these tentacles are. The cotton candy, nowhere near as bright. The Malaysian Skittles, the tentacles are insanely bright green. Also, they are very thick. So cotton candy is going to have kind of thinner tentacles like some of the other ones I've shown. The Malaysian Skittles has very thick tentacles. I would say of all the torches I have right now, this one has the thickest tentacles of all of them. They do get fairly long, not quite as long as some of the other ones I have. I would say this one probably is about 2.5 inches. So they are fairly long, but they also stay very thick the whole way down. So as you can see also here, there are little, not just the ends have color, there's little bubbles that kind of stick off the sides of some of those tentacles, almost like you expect to see in a frog spawn. But obviously this isn't a frog spawn, it's a torch. but it does have those extra little bubble tip ends that stick off the side of it. And it shows very well. So when it's in the flow, it moves around very well, but you can definitely see it doesn't get blown over when the flow is going because those tentacles are very thick. All right, next up is Joker Torch. Again, there are several different types of Joker Torch out there. You have the Miami Joker, and just several different types out there. Like the Miami Joker has very long, thin tentacles. This one does not. As you can see, the tentacles are short, thick. They're insanely dark with bright pink tips and a green mouth. So this one actually I think is absolutely stunning. That green base against those pink tips is just beautiful to look at in the tank. And having the fully dark tentacles just make the whole thing kind of pop. It makes that green really pop and it makes the pink really pop. All right, so the last one here is an orange tip torch. This is kind of the most standard one that I have, but I really liked the orange tips on it, which is why I picked it up. So you can see, again, it is dark tentacles. You can see it's a little bit lighter at the base, but definitely not like a contrasting different color, just a little bit lighter at the base. But those orange tips stand out very strong. It's not just a little touch on the end, it is a full tip, and they stand out very strong. So it's a pretty little torch. It definitely caught my eye. It's not one of those big fancy name brand ones, but very nice torch and definitely caught my eye, which is why I picked it up. All right, so hopefully you like this video. I will do more videos as I add more torches to the tank. Definitely not done. 9's not enough. But hope you like this video. Hopefully you can see kind of what the torches look like that you would be jumping in to get. These are a couple frags that I took. First one is 24K. This one's Hellfire. Again, hope you like this video. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, check out some more of my content, and I'll get more out soon. Thanks, guys.